Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast on sensory support in the classroom. My name is Abby, and today we will be discussing how sensory needs impact students with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, you might hear in the podcast, and how educators can support learning environments that help students succeed academically, socially, and behaviorally. So many students with autism spectrum disorder experience sensory processing deficits. So this means that everyday classrooms experiences for these students, such as the lighting in the room, the loud noises, the crowded spaces, or even certain textures can feel overwhelming to these students. Other students may seek additional sensory input through movement, such as touching objects or repetitive behaviors. So understanding that these needs are important because sensory challenges directly to affect a student's ability to focus, participate, and communicate and regulate their emotions in a school setting. So research was found that sensory processing challenges are closely connected to classroom behavior, emotional regulation, and academic engagement in students with autism. This highlights the importance of creating a classroom that are sensory supportive and inclusive. So today we will be discussing what sensory processing is, common sensory challenges among students with autism spectrum disorder, and how they may experience practical classroom strategies that educators can use, and the benefits of implementing these sensory supports. So to start off, understanding sensory processing, it's important to understand what sensory processing means. So sensory processing refers to the way that the brain receives, organizes, and often responds to sensory information from the environment that they're in. This includes sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, movement, and body awareness. Students with autism may experience either hypersensitivity or hyposensitivity. So hypersensitivity means that a student is overly responsive to the sensory input in the classroom. So for example, a student may become distressed by fluorescent lighting, loud classroom noises, or an unexpected touch by someone or something. On the other hand, hyposensitivity means that a student may seek additional sensory input. So these students may be, constantly moving, touching objects, touching people, wanting to give hugs, seeking pressure movement to help regulate themselves. So according to research, children with autism often display significantly different sensory processing patterns than their peers, which can impact daily classroom activities and functioning. Because every student is different, sensory needs can vary greatly from one child to another. So what calms one student may overwhelm another student. So that's why we need an individualized support put in place. Teachers may notice sensory related behaviors such as covering ears during loud activities, avoiding certain textures, difficulty sitting still, or even becoming overwhelmed during transitions. So rather than viewing these behaviors as misbehavior and yelling at these students, educators should seek additional help on how to help the student experience a sensory overload and how to decrease that. So, classroom sensory support strategies. We're going to discuss practical strategies educators can use to support sensory needs in the classroom. So, one important strategy is modifying the classroom environment. So classrooms can sometimes be overstimulating for students, especially for students with autism. So teachers can reduce unnecessary noise and visual clutter to create this calmer atmosphere for them. So this might include lowering the volume of technology in the room, minimizing decorations for their visual needs, and so that they're not distracted, and kind of providing softer lighting when possible. So right now I do have these lights in my room instead of the big overhead lights. Flexible seating options can also be helpful. So some students benefit from a wobble stool, cushions, standing desks, or alternate seating arrangements that allow movement while learning, and this can help the students regulate and get focused. Another effective support is a calm down or sensory break area. So this space can include calming tools such as fidgets, noise canceling headphones, weighted item, or visual supports. Students in this area, they can use this area when they are feeling overwhelmed or need a short break. Visual schedules and predictable routines are also essential. So many students with autism feel more comfortable when they know what to expect throughout the day. So those visual schedules help reduce their anxiety and improve transition throughout the day and activities. Incorporating movement breaks throughout the day can improve attention and self-regulation. So short movement activities such as stretching or sensory exercises help these students reset and return to the learning and the academic setting more successfully. Additionally, collaboration is another key component for sensory support. So teachers should work closely with occupational therapists, special educators, paraprofessionals, families, gen ed teachers to kind of better understand a student's unique sensory profile and effective strategies that work with others. So parents often have valuable insight onto what supports work best for their student as they see them after school and mainly most of the time. So the benefits of sensory support. So providing sensory supports in the classroom benefits not only the students with autism, but often the entire classroom community. When students feel regulated and supported, they are more likely to engage in a learning, participate in classroom activities, and interact positively with peers and teachers. So these supports can help reduce anxiety, frustration, and challenging behaviors among the whole classroom. They can improve all of the students' attention, independence, emotional regulation, and academic performance. For many students, these supports often help create a sense of safety and predictability within the classroom environment. So inclusive sensory practices also encourage empathy and understanding among peers. So when a classroom is designed to support the diverse learning needs of all students benefit from a more flexible and supportive learning environment. In conclusion, sensory processing differences plays a significant role in the educational experiences of many students with autism spectrum disorder, as well as gen ed students who have ADHD, maybe even just a learning disability. So by understanding these sensory needs and implementing these strategies in a classroom, educators can create classroom environments that promote success, inclusion, and the emotional well-being. So today we discussed the sensory processing, common sensory challenges, practical classroom supports, and positive impact on sensory accommodations that students can have on their learning and participation. So as educators, it's important to remain flexible, be observant, and collaborate with supporting students with autism and just students in general. Even small changes in the classroom environment can make a meaningful difference in helping students feel more comfortable, more regulated, and more ready to learn. Thank you for listening to today's podcast.